What the hell, man? So, yeah. Blue. Joyce, I am here. Hi. Number two is just okay too. Hello, hello. Hey, what's up? Oh,
itself is always under assault by non-yogas and lovesick teachers alike. It seems that somewhere within the most intense sphere of human emotions, there is a latent desire for destruction.
Anyway, here she is. So she tried to grift to the right. So she said she tried to do this thing where she was like, I'm leaving the left because the left is crazy and all the transoids are bad. She is herself a trans person. And yeah, she's just awful. Anyway, but she's now realised, oh shit, that grift didn't work, and they hate me and keep calling me a man. So she decided to pop on with this. Trans sisters. I'm pretty sure I was wrong. I am sorry. Now, when you start an apology, saying I'm pretty sure I was wrong does rather undermine your sincerity, I think. Doesn't seem like you've necessarily done the work to sort of realise why you were wrong when you won't fully accept that you were wrong.
Rejoice, comrades, resident philosopher. Hi, Scribby. Morning, morning. How are you? Dear God, that was an intense session of CAIN. It's funny getting back into the world of tabletop. I'm having so much fun with it though. Look, it's Kevin Curtis. I'm just doing a post-CAIN cooldown. I'm going to fucking need it. That was one of the most intense battles I've been involved in this campaign. And I got into some pretty heavy ones back in my D&D days when I was younger. Carry on, Kev.
I genuinely thought that as a trans woman, if seeded some points with the gender critical crowd, we could have a healthier conversation and arrive at better public policy. Because, you know, pandering to bigots always works.
Sorry, Brianna, that
Always.
like that with them.
The problem is, they are getting crazier and more extreme. If you admit, quote, trans women don't belong in women's sports, unquote, they agree, but call you a man the
CAIN is a TTRPG created by Tom Bloom. Kill 6 billion demons legend is basically the tabletop, but we play on. We're playing it through Discord, and Raptor's putting it up onto his stream while we're playing. It's brilliant, but mental. I'm having so much fun with it. Check it out, it's on Itch. I can't remember how much it is. It's like between £8 and £10 our money. I've got one. I've managed to open one of Raptor's mods. It's called Dargesh, and he's going to help me. The one that I bought from Itch is called Magna Gothica Malagast. Necromancers. It looks like so much fun. So he's going to help guide me through it and basically join in and playing with me once we get our schedule sorted, of course. Look, Brianna Woo. Is there any saving her really? Doubtful at this point.
whole time. Yeah, we said you would. Yeah, we said that's exactly what you'd get. If you admit, quote, I understand I'm a biological? That's not a word. Biological man, but this is how I want to live my life, and talking about me like this is degrading, unquote. They scream about free speech.
And the thing is, though, like, because here she's still kind of saying, I have the reasonable position. But I'm sorry, but, like, I think it's, like, okay for trans people to, like, actually, you saying I'm a biological man, we don't agree with that.
Yeah.
And, like, just call me a fucking woman if I'm a trans woman.
Exactly.
But so here she's saying, it's not like she's saying her views are wrong. She thinks her compromised position is the correct position.
Yeah.
But she fucked around and found out that the right wing don't care about the so-called sensible position or the compromised position. They want to keep, moving their agenda even further to the right, which we saw from miles away. We didn't need to be in Brianna's shoes to understand that she's fucking stupid. She couldn't. But like,
we already told her. This is how it's going to go. There was people who actually reached out in our community. It's not going to go like that. She went ahead and done it anyway. Hell, mend her. I remember the 2 times that when I've watched that Kev's actually talked to Brianna. She's got lots of wrong takes. I admire Kev for actually trying to reach out to her and talk to her on those 2 occasions. But she's beyond help now, in my opinion. There are some people that we can actually reach out to. I think I would say leave her to do and say as she wishes, but she will still be doing damage to the trans community, and I don't like that at all.
what's annoying, I mean, you're going to get to it, and especially the second part of the tweet.
It was
it's
a
so
belter, wasn't it?
infuriating is that she's still like, oh, well, I have the right position.
Kev's
No,
not
you
a
don't,
boy.
though.
No, clearly you don't.
Like, your capitulation is still the incorrect position you have.
Yeah.
It's just that you think the right wing are in any way reasonable, especially when it comes to gender critical and transphobic views. These people are in a cult. Like, it's the point of the entire point of it is cruelty. So you're not going to get gender critical people to agree with you if you're a trans person. They fucking hate you for being a trans person. That's it. And she's now seen that firsthand. And me, as a fucking straight cis dude, right, could fucking see that. Why could I see that? I ain't trans. I ain't a woman. But Brianna Wu couldn't. But okay, I suppose she denied the fucking Nakba, so she's thick.
Yeah, true. If you admit that hurtful language is a part of speech, but you don't have to associate with people that degrade you, they act like the victim and call you a man, and then say you should be thrown in an insane asylum. Like, motherfucker, you are the biggest I didn't think leopards would eat my face, ever. This is fucking tragic. It's like this on everything. They are incapable of looking for a middle ground on bathrooms. They want maximalist policies on everything. They throw a fully transitioned, fully passing trans woman in male prison gen pop and laugh as she got AIDS from being raped. So your problem is that you think that because you think now that you've had facial surgery, feminization surgery, bought for by the grift that you did turning far right, Brianna, that because you pass now or whatever, that you should be given special trans privileges that other non-passing trans people shouldn't. You have learned nothing.
Yeah, that's the point, because obviously a lot of transphobia does go on looks, and it goes on like, well, this person obviously looks like a man. That's where they start it. And it's like, it's kind of unfortunate that we go down this way, but we're like, but look at these passing trans people and they still attack them. Like, obviously it's not ideal to be making those arguments, because if you're trans, regardless if you're passing or not, you're fucking trans, right? But obviously when you've seen the images where like, can you believe this is a trans person? Like, yeah.
I'd like to point that out, and what Solly said in Kev's chat here. Definition of a quisling. Brianna Wu, get wrecked. Yeah. She did hold her own. But people like you and me and Emma Vigeland, Kev, Curtis as well, Helena, we can all destroy Bosch and Destiny at the click of our fingers. Damn, that fucking hurt. They use the same tired arguments that we've already debunked fucking years ago. Get some new material? All of them, I was going to say most, but all of them are obsessed with 3 or 4 different talking points, and they've all been destroyed at this point. Get wrecked. I'm not going to fucking deal with you if you're not coming into this argument, this debate in good faith. Seriously, just piss off. Yeah, they're not. What are those two up to anyway? I try to stay away from Bosch and Destiny for obvious reasons. I'll just sort of pictures in. There we go. That's better.
I can see. Look at the size of their neck. It's like a cis woman, right? It's a good gotcha, but obviously, you know, it's not the nicest of arguments, right?
Yeah.
But it is funny. Like, she's obviously become more passing with the money she's grifted as being like a neo-lib Democrat.
Yeah.
I also want to say, Space Monkey said we should invite Brianna and turn left. I'll tell you why we won't have her on there. One, because
Rejoice! Someone new. Hello, Socks, 1875. Welcome, welcome. I am Mad Cat 79 Scotty Eye, or Kitty Marshall 4340 over on YouTube. I'm a Scottish disabled Marxist streamer. I talk about health and disability issues and politics and history. Welcome, welcome. Yes, I am a goddess. Obviously, you can tell by the high cheekbones and beautiful blue eyes. That is Kev Logan. That is Curtis Daly. Turn left. They are brilliant. I love him.
I think
He is
I actually
amazing.
want to speak to interesting people, right? Brianna's not interesting.
Oh.
She's not. And two, it's not about having people that like we agree with. I'll happily like interview a right winger if it can be a genuine, interesting conversation and debate. But someone like Brianna is one a grifter and she's not smart. Like, there's nothing. What can I debate her on that she's really fucking stupid? So like someone like Brianna would never go on turn left. Would never be on turn left because
I like to hear what Mixed Vivian Wolf says in chat. Fully transitioned, non-passing trans woman gets raped in prison, and Wu is just like, well, that's a compromise. Sorry, doll. Vivian, I agree. It's easier just to say Brianna would get wrecked. Just don't interact with her at this point, is my advice. Obviously, she will crop up every now and again, and we have to deal with it in the correct manner, of course.
want an interesting conversation. I will absolutely speak to
He
right
has far too much
wingers,
fun with that
but
soundboard.
you
He
know,
really does.
throw something my way that I have to then look inward and be like, right, I need to update my arguments to be better. Someone like Brianna, like,
See, this is
what's interesting. It'd be unfair. It'd be unfair to dunk on her so easily on turn left as well.
Yeah,
I'm doing it for her sake, actually.
This is the difference between you and I. I want to talk to precisely dickheads. I love talking to dickheads. It's fun for me. So if Brianna wants to come back on, and I'll
Think of the psychological damage, my brummy comrade. At some point, you're going to have to deal with kaiju-sized rats in Birmingham. Naughty Katie. Don't worry, we'll all be there to back you up as well if you want to deal with these sort of dickheads. And some of them, it is quite fun. Must admit that. What one did I have the most fun with? Obviously, Hippy Dippy did happen. 2 times when he went on. Scuddy, what did you think of Hippy Dippy when Kev was on? I thought Wick done a kind of piss poor job some of the times when he was being the moderator. No ill will towards Wick, mostly. But the people that he invited on, some of them are fucking lunatics. I suppose in the free market of ideas and everything, you can and you sometimes should invite some of these people on. Some of them shouldn't be allowed any airtime whatsoever, obviously, because they're fucking mental. Oh, Cortison Hippy Dippy.
Fucking school her again. Absolutely no problems. Yeah. But interestingly, she doesn't want to talk to me again.
Oh, of course she won't. She won't. Especially because when I watched your debate with her, what often happens when someone is like more well read on a certain topic, because obviously you spoke.
Okay. Morning, Super Hubby. Well, it's not sunrise yet. Give me a moment. Sunrise. 2.5 hours? Technically still night. Apparently. I will be back, comrades. I will play Kevin Curtis.
By Israel Palestine, you were obviously more well read on it, and she was doing the whole thing where you capitulate in the debate. You're like, oh yeah, no, like that's a good point. Yeah, no, I get that, and that's fine. You don't have to be the greatest intellectual. You don't have to know everything, right? But if you're there in that moment to say, okay, I didn't think about it like this way, then be humble enough to carry that forward. But what she was doing was, I don't want to be embarrassed if I start doubling down on some things that I've obviously lost the debate on. So I'm just going to save face, say, actually, that's a good point. Maybe I'll have a think about that. Now, if she carried on acting like that way, that's fair enough. She's learned something. But immediately after she got off the call from you, she went immediately back to the talking points. So it's like she didn't learn anything from the debate, and she's full of shit. But had she tried to argue against certain points that she had no clue on, you would have made her look stupid. A lot of people do that. I've done that before, where I'm like, oh, I don't know the answer to that, and instead of me trying to double down, I'm like, oh, I'll have a think about that. But the difference is, once that call ends, are you going to then research on that more, or are you just going to go back to the original talking points? And that is when you know someone is serious and intelligent, and someone who isn't serious. And that's what she is. Like, there's so many things I don't know things about, and I've actually changed my opinion on things when I've had a discussion with someone and I didn't know what to say. Like the Ukraine stuff, for example. I've changed my opinion on a lot of these things because I didn't know. And
because you used to be very pro Putin, didn't you?
Oh, love the guy.
Yeah, no, but he used to have that tattoo. Did you get that covered up?
No, I've got it on there.
No, fair enough.
I messaged Graham Planter. I was like, mate, just don't worry, it'll all blow over.
You and Graham, two peas in a pod.
Oh
God. Anyway, yes. Brianna continues for some fucking reason. I want middle ground on so many of these policies. I mean, time out. Why? Why do you want middle ground on that? I understand if compromises do eventually need to be made after like a process or whatever, but you holding out the I still want to just have a middle ground, why? Why not try and fight for the things you actually want and believe in and think are good, even if you end up having to take slightly less than that because of reality? Do you know what I mean? Like, you've already said that the people you're trying to reach out to will never accept that, so why are you holding that out as if that's possible? Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I don't think she's a centrist. I think she's right wing. But the centrism thing is like an ideology in of itself, which is like the appeal to moderation.
Yeah.
It's not what the actual issue is. It's to say, oh, I'm really, really grown up because I don't take maximalist policies on either side. So therefore, I'm really, really smart. And that's the starting position. So then when it comes to every single topic, these people try and find the middle grounds. Not like, oh, this is what I believe in. It's, I'm a so-called centrist, and I'm going to find the two opposing sides, and I'm just going to take the middle position. Which is obviously stupid because that means you don't have anything you believe in. And two, the middle position always changes.
Yeah.
There's no firm center ground, right? So this is why I think she's so incredibly stupid. It's not because she's like, look, I actually believe in these compromise policies. This is what I really believe in. Because, like, how can you believe in a compromise? You're admitting yourself it's a compromise. So it's not a position of belief. It's a position of compromise. Yeah. But she only believes in the so-called compromise because it's the compromise, not because those actual policies are right. Because if you ask her...
Kyla? You have to forgive me. Someone that I know in my life is called Kyla. That's the short name. I'm not sure who you're talking about there, Scribby. There was lots of people who kept on interrupting the 2 times I watched Kevin Hippie Dippy. And I'll say again, because absolute mental people kept on getting invited in, obviously.
What's your views on, like, trans people? Like, on the toilet debate, what do you think? And most people were like, piss in where you feel comfortable with and don't be a dick to anyone else. That's not a maximalist position, but according to Brianna, that's maximalist and she needs to find a compromise. But what's the compromise between I'm going to go for... What happened there?
What?
Oh, sorry. My YouTube went all weird. I thought I got cut off. I've lost my train of thought now.
Okay. Well,
can you pick me up from that? Or?
You I think made the point largely. So we'll move on. She then says in all caps, but the fundamental problem is they do not. They enjoy degrading us. It's fun for them. Yeah, again, we really could have told you this already. Like, they elected Donald Trump, a man whose entire political thing is do anything to own the libs. Literally fucking destroy America, kill fucking thousands, hundreds of thousands, just to own the libs. Put fucking alligator death swamps at the border to own the libs. Like, it's ridiculous. And the trans people don't escape that loop because the right wing, again, as we discussed previously with they'll do anything not to talk about economics, will have decided that trans people and their very existence is to be a culture war issue, and so they'll just shit on trans people because that's better than, from their perspective, better than talking about like wealth taxes.
Is why like MAGA and the GOP are good in opposition, because their entire politics is, oh, let's just like own the libs.
Yes.
But when you get into government, you've got to do more than own the libs. You've actually got to do something. And like, people have such short memories in America because when Donald Trump won in 2016, obviously people hated Hillary Clinton, us included. And then Donald Trump was terrible. And then people like, we don't want this guy. And then 4 years later, it's like, oh, we forgot about that. Let's get him in. And then like wokeness very quickly comes back for people because they're like, actually, maybe wokeness wasn't so fucking bad because we've got this terrible person in power.
Yeah, wokeness was the only thing. Wokeness was the only thing keeping the planes in the sky. Fact.
Literally.
Yeah, she was literally in an anti-trans Wall Street Journal article the day before this apology. Is that true?
Oh my God,
no.
Really? So full of shit.
Unbelievable. So she sums up. So, sisters, I genuinely... Oh, for fuck's sake, that's cringe in of itself. Just you don't need to address people like you're at a rally. Jesus.
Yeah, and like, don't say sisters if you're not like...
actually, you know, in solidarity.
Treat people like comrades. Like, don't be like, oh, sisters, I'm going to patronise you now. Fuck off.
Yeah. So, sisters, I genuinely don't know what to do. I think many of our most extreme ideas are bad, but theirs are worse. So if I have to pick, I choose us. It's interesting that you use the word pick there, giving...
We'll go on to that next. I want to hear credit you, but it might have been someone else. Political custard. dear God, those poor 10 councillors who already have them in control. And they want to run a fucking country, a nation of 4 countries? Get wrecked, man, frog. I'm going to block you at every fucking turn you try to do, especially up here in Scotland. Bring it on. He knows what is good for him. You won't fucking run any candidates up here in Scotland, even though they're kind of high in the polls. Ugh. I'm going to fight that. I'm going to fight that with every fibre of my being. Piss off, man, frog. You absolute waste of humanity.
You are the biggest pick-me that's ever existed.
Yeah.
And it turns out
Correct.
they didn't pick you. Grim. I wish there were a political vehicle for compromise and medical safeguarding. Ugh. But that just simply does not exist.
That's the one that gave me the biggest cringe. Medical safeguarding. Brianna, what do you mean by that? Exactly. Just because you're fully transitioned now doesn't mean other people aren't getting sidelined and denied and blocked due to financial reasons. Medical safeguarding? That's one of the phrases that Abigail Schreier used. Correct, Scribby. Correct. I will be attending the emergency general meeting for the Glasgow branch at the end of the month, by the way, because we seem to have lost 3 councillors and a couple of organisers from the Glasgow branch for reasons. Fun. Watch this.
And then the follow-up is, I consider my business settled with all trans sisters.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to reset things one block and move forward, I'm happy to do that.
Unbelievable.
That's
So
you
much
don't get
bad.
to decide who's settled business, because that's a two-way transaction. Come on now.
I think what's going to happen is, so obviously she feels like she has no home because obviously the right wing, as expected, have treated her like shit for
Yes.
simply being a trans person. Her views don't matter, even if she has the exact same opinions as the.
Miss Hire, you naughty, naughty girl. Anna and we collab soon? You never know, weirder things have happened. Curtis Lewa still exists. God, what a delightful fucking maniac he is. Correct, Solly, fuck this bitch. An idiosyncrasy. Pathetic. Yes, completely pathetic. Brianna, go away. Just, I wish you well in your life and everything. Just stay on social media. Just go away. But obviously, we'll still hear her coming up every so often, tweeting and doing other things.
Gender criticals, right? They would just treat her like shit because she's trans. Now she's obviously saying, "Oh, look, I've got nowhere to go. No one cares about me. Please, can I come back?" And rightfully, people can be like, "You're full of shit. That apology wasn't an apology, and your views are still wrong." Guarantee she'll go crawling back to the right wing because her politics, once again, is like, people were mean to me, therefore I don't agree with them. So she'll do this, and then she'll be like, "Oh, I tried being reasonable."
Naughty, Scribby. Naughty, naughty, naughty. Do you want to know it? That's not that far-fetched, actually, which is deeply terrifying. Do we know what Kevels is doing? We obviously know what Brianna and Anna's doing. I have no idea what Kevels is up to these days. She's still going? Probably. Anna, Brianna, Kevels. Shoo.
I tried saying that, look,
Now,
I'm on
being
your side
naughty.
now, and then they were still mean to me, so I left again.
Well, she constantly changes and flip-flops what her opinions are on fucking everything. She has all of the moral fibre of a jellyfish, frankly. There's nothing to her. She's completely spineless. The idea is that the difference between the weather vane and a road sign or whatever. She just blows with. Yeah. She just blows with the wind. So, to which I say,
just the utter worst people in politics.
Parasite.
You talked all over that.
Sorry,
the soundboard was "Shut the fuck up, you parasite."
Do it again.
Shut the fuck up, you parasite.
I'm sure that'll be definitely ad-friendly if I put this up on YouTube. Yay! Anyway, yes, moving on from this creature.
It's gonna be my friend. Are you in any of these councils? Warwickshire, Lincolnshire, Durham, Stafford, Kent, Lancashire. God, so many ways. Oh my God, an entire playlist of Carol Malone. Fucking bring it.
With Vinted's new electronics category, you can save again and again.
What is up, people? I'm Aid Thompson. You may have seen or heard me on LBC or Byline or Sunday Roast or Politics Social, but welcome, ladies and
Rejoice, comrades. Bri, your guys here. Hi, Bri. Welcome. That session went well, didn't it? I'm going to keep it political and British. You might get an education, you never know. Plus, you'll have my sarcastic comments coming in every so often. So I do be sarcastic as fuck.
gentlemen and everything in between to my YouTube channel. Now, usually when you see somebody who's been on legacy media then advertising their YouTube channel, it's because they've been ostracized from the mainstream for spreading their anti-vax nonsense or for ranking the sexual attractiveness of female journalists. But no, this one is not a byproduct of being cancelled. I've managed to cleverly avoid that by working hard to remain crushingly unsuccessful in the first place. I mean, how are they going to cancel you when you were never even commissioned. My channel is home to two things. Monday to Friday's alternative paper review, which takes a satirical look at what passes for the UK press each morning. Ladies and gents, it's Monday, it's Tuesday, it's Wednesday, it's Friday, in which I rip, roast and ridicule the day's headlines in this formerly Great Britain. And my top 10 podcast, 8 top sin and other disappointments. I thought it might be fun to play a game called Break Femi.
I've taken an ecstasy pill to get the energy levels up a bit. That's a joke, by the way.
I mean, it'd be great for me.
So you basically have mugged me off, strung me along, and now you're telling me I need to look like I cheer up. I'll tell you what, why don't you up?
So if you're a fan of what is frankly the bourgeoisie, the proper booge tier of political content, why not join me Monday to Friday for a quick look at the day's news, or the podcast twice a week, which includes the slightly anarchic Friday night live show every Friday at 7:30. It's for internet addicts who don't like influencers. We like binfluencers, people who scrape the muck off the bottom of the bin of society and force us to look at it. It's for binfluencers. It's irreverent. It's booge. It's your dad's balls. Your dad's balls! Subscribe to the channel. Maybe become a member. Join the cult. Join my caliphate. Or don't. You know, they are realistically your options with this.
Just think if you like toned it down like a bit.
This isn't f***ing news night.
Aid is in all the shot. Aid, what would you like to say?
These newspapers would make the most unique gift ever. They are full, complete newspapers from the day that you were born. You can actually smell the paper when you open the box. It's pretty amazing to think that this paper has had the same lifespan as you. These would make the most...
Oh, wait. Sorry about the ads, I've lost my premium. We're going to have to get through it until I pay for it on Tuesday off my benefit. Sorry.
So, welcome back to Far Right Watch. Now, like any other week where I bring up one of these videos for you, barely strung together by my disgust and bile, this week we have no shortage of material to balk at. Because this week, like most weeks, we go a little bit deeper, a little darker. We get that little bit closer to our inevitable endgame. Full-scale societal collapse, civil war, and all of it soundtracked by Morris dancing. Oh, no. Oh, yes. I hate Morris dancing. Because this week has felt especially depressing.
What is wrong with you? Why are you assaulting me? Why are you assaulting me? Shut the up, you parasite.
As the far right have sought to occupy a space where they both push the boundaries of what is acceptable and concurrently get upset when you point out that that's not exactly fucking centrist, is it? And what I mean by that is the succession of people who were dressing up on social media in blackface for Halloween, who were then, if not defended by, were willfully ignored by these same people who don't like being labelled as far right. Jesus Christ. I remember when this sort of shit would get you fired. Like, cast your mind back. You know, just imagine for a second that somebody you knew back in the day had posted a picture of themselves like this in blackface in a sort of like own the libs joke. You would have been like, mate, what are you doing? Calm down, mate. Don't get your pants in a twist. It's just funny. It's just a joke. It's just funny to me how offended you get. Right. But Phil, Mate, look how offended you are. He's so edgy. Right, but Phil, I think you just need to ask yourself the question: Are you pushing the envelope or mailing your resignation? Because this is fucked up. But yeah, it's terrifying how few repercussions there are for racism nowadays. Weirdly, I suppose that makes these the scariest costumes I've seen for Halloween this year, so perhaps they've worked. But paradoxically, the shocking blackface Halloween posts, which were shocking enough for people to run to for internet edgelord currency, yes, were still sufficiently unshocking enough and unpushing the boundaries enough for presumably anyone involved to be referred to as far right. Right. Yeah, makes perfect sense. Because we live in a world where people saying I love Hitler and gas them all, lol, is just kids having a laugh, isn't it?
They tell edgy, offensive jokes like that's what kids do.
Nobody needs their lives ruined over it. Blackface is just more hurty words. They're not really racist, eh? Not really. It's all in your head. You're being hysterical. Meanwhile, imaginary two-tier policing and fantasy crime epidemics are...
Yeah. Not AJ, completely fucking racist. Get the fuck out my face. Just go away. It's the worst form of cultural appropriation, so look how abreast I am. No, you're not. If you're here in Britain, don't get me wrong, people are oppressed here, but most of the people doing this and posting it on like Insta, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, whatever, you do have a level of privilege, by the way, being white. You don't need to. It's just, ugh. Get these people out of my faces, please. I don't. No, it's horrible. Ugh. This is what we have to combat, my friends. It's what I'm here to combat.
What is really worth worrying about? I mean, how is that for an indictment on racism in Britain? Real racism directed at black people comes in at less of a priority than fake crimes on white ones. That's where we're at. Christ, the racisms just go levels deep on this shitty little island, don't they? Anyway, so the kids are doing blackface for Halloween. Other people dressed up as asylum seekers, complete with dinghies. It's edgy enough to push boundaries, but nobody's going far enough for it to be categorized as far right. Make sense? Cool.
No, it doesn't.
Watch.
If you're obsessed about good design, this might be for you.
We went to, what, 24 different factories? They were all like, that can't be done.
4 years ago, we set out to make a toothbrush that was radically better than...
Sorry.
Elsewhere in the realms of radicalized reactionaries,
Starmer and Khan, you disgusting pair of men. Give your jobs up, you're making a fool of yourself. Why don't you just go? Take the fucking dirty, rotten asylum seekers and go and live with them.
wow. I mean, you just know that just out of shot, just to the right of that kitchen, like into the living room, you just know that there's the son and the daughter in that living room arguing with each other. Like the daughter's shouting at the son, like, I told you not to give her a smartphone for Christmas. Didn't I tell you not to let her install Facebook? I told you it'd fry her brain.
Dirty, rotten asylum seekers and go and live with them.
And right behind her in those kitchen cupboards, You just know there's an unopened like medication of Valium in there. Stop telling me to take me tablets. I'm trying to finish my video.
Dirty, rotten asylum seekers.
And they're like, Mum, can you at least put some pajama bottoms on, or so, and put TikTok down.
Because you, Starmer, are clearly an absolute Muslim lover.
Absolute Muslim lover. Wasn't that a Cat Stevens LP?
I'll be your absolute Muslim lover, babe.
Because you, Starmer, are clearly an absolute Muslim lover.
I mean, I'm begging you people to join my Christmas campaign. Right, like when you go back to your folks' place at Christmas, before you grab your things to leave, Christmas Day in the evening or like Boxing Day or whatever, unplug your Nan's Freeview. Disconnect the router. Seriously, I'm begging you. For the good of the country. It might feel like you're taking something away from them, but consider it a gift to the country.
Because of your incompetence, you don't want to know anything about the boat people.
The boat people.
No more GB news for Grandma. Christmas campaign, who's with me? Unplug your Nan's Freeview. Get involved.
Your dad's
balls. Okay, so what have we got here so far? We've got kids doing blackface for Halloween, outward confident racism. We've got people on TikTok and Twitter ranting about asylum seekers. They are angry, they're emboldened.
Our borders are still wide open. Abolish the ECHR, round up and mass deport every single illegal migrant that shouldn't be here.
If you think it will never happen to you, you're wrong. If you think you're on the don't rape his daughter list, you're wrong. The stats are off the fucking charts. The hotels are being flooded.
And just quickly, while we're on this, if you are interested in reality with all of this, with the stats are off the charts business, the stats on asylum seekers and crime and all of that are as follows. In 2024, there were 108,000 people claiming asylum. And that includes the main applicant, but also their dependents. So, ballpark figure, 100,000 people. There is no academic proof that shows asylum seekers are more violent or more prone to violence than us. In fact, the claims that they are, or other salacious headlines like 1 in 12 people in London are now illegal migrants, usually seem to come from sources like the Centre for Migration Control, a self-described think tank that is actually just a blog, and it is a blog that is run by one person, a reform activist called Robert Bates.
From the Centre of Migration, I love this man. Robert Bates, a very good afternoon. Welcome to Drive.
Hi, Jeremy. Thanks for having me.
He also suggested that foreign nationals were responsible for up to 40% of all sexual crime in London, even though he used population data from 2021, when there were only like X number of Afghans, but crime data from 2023. After we had allowed a significant number of Afghan refugees to come in following the re-emergence of the Taliban in Afghanistan. So it is totally skewed data. On other occasions, other stories to do with immigration and crime or whatever, if you go onto the links on his website to try to have a look at the data.
Manfrog himself, he is right-wing, obviously. He's a Thatcherite. He is a right-winger, don't get me wrong about that. But it's the grassroots members of Reform that were me personally, I'm more worried about. Some of them are quite likely Nazis. They came over from the British National Party, which were fascists. They're a proscribed organisation now. They're not allowed to reform. Don't get me wrong, these people still fucking exist in British society, unfortunately. We can prevent that from happening as long as we block Reform getting control of any more councils or getting to power here in Britain. But unfortunately, that is not in my capacity, unfortunately. There's nearly 70 million people here. Well, what's it? 58 million people here in Britain are long-time voters, and 65 million are eligible to vote. Obviously, we don't all vote. The turnout for British elections in any sort of capacity are dog shit. Most of our turnout is like between 35 and 50%, which is shit. But all the racists and transphobes and other assorted fuckwittery, they all still vote. You do realise they don't like you either, darling, don't you? I don't like anybody. I don't care. I'm not included in that statement, by the way. If they have a problem with me, they can talk to me. I'll end them. It'd be a foolhardy bastard that actually goes up against my super hubby. I know what he's capable of. I know his capacities. He has to take care of this, obviously. So he deals with my bullshit, which is pile enough, to say the least. So dealing with some of these idiots. Click of the fingers and they're dealt with. Please remember, my friends and comrades, no violence. I'm glad we don't have access to firearms, my dear. Do you know how angry a lot of people in Britain are? That is a good thing. We have access to knives and they're not very good enough. So we expect to be any good with guns. We're excluded from that. I know how to use my sword. I don't actually have a sword. I know how to use a sword. I know how to use a katana. I know how to use a saber and an AP. He knows how to use other things. It will exclude firearms from this. Rifles, handguns, and shotguns. Rejoice, comrades, I'm married to a scary bastard. Oh, and LMGs. Um, you can't say that when I'm live streaming, you absolute fucking lunatic. And you think Twitch doesn't know what that actually means? You're not going to get my channel nuked. Shut up. I'm just saying I've been trained in them. I perfectly legally say you've been trained in things. Well, you don't have. He doesn't trust me. Honestly, he doesn't. Right, fine, you've got the skills, I get it.
That all of this stuff is based on, you just go round in a loop. You can't actually get to the data that he's used for it.
The stats are off the fucking charts. The hotels are being flooded. We're walking amongst animals that hate us, that want to kill us.
And as I said on the podcast,
citation needed. Carry on, my dear. Only right-thinking and trained personnel should be allowed to vote and carry weapons. Don't worry, I know how to control him. Dear God, end me. I need a fucking divorce. Rejoice, comrades. Natok is here. Hi, Natok. Are the right still losing their mind about Mandani winning? I've been having too much fun, and so's Kevin Helena, obviously. I do feel ashamed for all my American comrades. I really do. But watching the right wing in America lose their mind about Mandani winning is just oh, oh. Oh, he just said wait until New York's defunded. He's going to need Congress to do that. Yes, he does. Doesn't he? Really? Harris aren't attached, therefore he can use them any way he wants. He can't carve his own country.
Who's paying for it? No Pakistan, India, but Faroe Islands that are paying these taxes. Sorry, tariffs. No, not taxes.
Tariffs are. Oh God! Someone please educate.
No, that was his lawyer at the Supreme Court said tariffs aren't taxes.
That lawyer's a fucking idiot.
Just because money's raised by them doesn't mean that's incidental. That's not the point of them. It's foreign policy. That's only held by the president, so therefore they're perfectly illegal.
They're an economic measure.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
Read these oral arguments at the Supreme Court.
I don't want to read them. I'm going to have to read them at some point, dear God. Can someone find me a tame economist, please?
The other night, which is Friday nights, by the way. Friday night,
Oh, one of those.
7:30 here on YouTube. If you're ever at a loose end, little plug for you there. But as I said on the pod the other night, I'll say it again to you now. When you see men like this,
And the protection of our children and our women and our mothers and our wives, you're a fucking animal.
you know, protesters outside hotels, Tesco value Tommies on Twitter and TikTok, angry white men in sportswear shouting about protecting our girls, our women from rapist invaders. I'm always quick to remind them, as I will now to you also. Statistically, it is significantly more likely that this guy's wife or girlfriend will be raped and murdered by him than it is that they'll be attacked by asylum seekers. And it's not even close. Anyway, what else is he saying? What else is he saying in his video? Love the hot tub in the back there. By the way, you live your best life, mate.
Rejoice for Bry, your guy. If you want, you can say the city, or you can just say the state if you wish. What lovely city are you in, Bry? That's awesome. I love that. That's brilliant. Round of applause. Well done, city that Bry lives in. Fantastic. Obviously, divestment. I'd want the full BDS, obviously, but for reasons not happening, obviously. Oh, you in Missouri. Nice one. Hello. Hello, St. Louis citizen. I like that. That's great. Well done, St. Louis. Well done, St. Louis.
Yeah, you crack on. Do a couple videos, get a share by Tommy Robinson, get the rage bait ad money flowing in, then kick back with a plastic bucket of party ice and a bottle of cava for a hard day's work. You deserve it, son.
This morning.
Stabbing your face with needles. Sounds terrifying, but here's the reason why you may want to do this. This is Cure's micro-infusion system. It's gone viral several times on social.
Always.
This morning, 10 innocent people stabbed on a train. 2 men arrested.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this is the train attack from the weekend, right? The one that they all jumped on again? Immediately? Before they even knew anything?
Back to that breaking news tonight. A man has been taken to hospital with serious injuries after multiple people have been stabbed on a train in Huntington.
A lot of noise and panic and people running through the train and shouting.
That's right. On Saturday the 1st of November, reports emerged that 2 men wielding knives had attempted to murder 10 to 15 people on an LNER service from Doncaster to London, and applying precisely
MD code for American comrades. LNER is London North East. London
North East Rail.
London the North East Railway. It basically connects London up to Edinburgh. That's right. Ends in Waverley, doesn't it? Give me a second, comrades. Ah. Your last needs of medicine. For anyone interested, that is my stomach tablet. Brand name's Losec, or it's the actual medicine's called omeprazole. It's a PPI, a proton pump inhibitor. No, it has three primary and two secondary actions. Shut up. Please ignore the fucking joker sitting across from me, or to the diagonal side of me over there. Do not listen to him. I will deal with them later.
Zero journalistic integrity, literally the worst people in politics, goose-stepped to their assumptions.
You can argue the British state is complicit
Hello,
in a
Rupert.
crime like this because they haven't done enough to protect our borders.
A portion of those who are crossing the channel are criminals.
Indeed, Brexit Barbie, Dubai's Isabel Oakeshott, said, "I don't know who is behind the latest monstrous attack on innocent people." Oh.
A British citizen.
Oh, okay. Well, that's unusually self-aware of her. But I do know that airport-style security at train stations is ridiculous. Here's a radical suggestion. How about controlling our borders? Ah, there it is. Yeah, I don't know who is behind this, but I know it's the fucking immigrants. Immigrants are all godless, violent savages, you see?
I am lucky because of my bus pass. I get 75 to 85% off rail travel, and if I wanted to come down on come down on a train from Scotland and into England, I get between 25 and 45% off, depending on where my terminus is. I get 75 to 85%. I get 85% of all local travel within like a sort of 50-mile radius. Yeah, but my younger sister used to work for Megabus, but uh, she got free rail travel down to London, essentially to set up the three Megabus offices within London in different parts of London, essentially. So she got free. She didn't need to pay for her rail travel down from Perth down to London. And she was asking people who she was hiring to man these offices how much they pay for their local travel and stuff within London and things of that nature. And they were saying it's not too bad. The Oyster card, really good. How the hell am I getting 70? Oh, triple with attendant, essentially. So because I'm disabled and I've got carer, skivvy. Like that's why I get that high percentage off. You're not indentured. He's not my slave either, trust me on that one. Rule of solitaire.
Play yourself.
Alright, cool.
hold my fucking pedo while I go and union jack off to the national anthem of the Arab Emirates. Also, in the immediate aftermath of the tragedy, town crier and Substackademic Matt Goodwin offered his condolences. Oh, this should be good. A friend texts from abroad this morning. What has happened to your country? 3 words. Mass uncontrolled immigration. Right. So the implication there then is that these knife men must have been immigrants too then, Matt. Yes? A bit like your friend from abroad too, I suppose. Except they weren't asylum seekers or indeed mass uncontrolled immigrants. The suspect turned out to be one individual, a black guy born in Britain, Anthony Williams. Like, how many times? How many times has this happened now? Like, it wasn't 2 knife men, it was 1. He wasn't a refugee, wasn't even an immigrant or a Muslim. Allegedly, it's a British guy. A British man called Anthony. So that's completely... I mean, wow, that must be embarrassing for Professor Matt Goodwin to have professed such presumptive nonsense. But I'm sure being an academic, Goodwin would have wanted to promptly correct the record and adjust his findings. So has he texted his friend back? Has he? Of course. Of course he fucking hasn't. Though in his defense, that could reasonably be because his friend never existed. Well, quite. Instead, he appeared to disregard where the individual was born, saying the 7-7 bombers were born here too. Technically, they were British, but in his view, it takes more than a piece of paper for...
I can imagine it now on Super Hubby's head. He would look rather cool wearing it, I must admit. How much is it, babe? It is £24. 32 or $33.
Someone to be British. Right.
You want to know why we created this backpack for a Formula 1 team? Spite. For over a decade, backpack companies ruled the corporate world unchallenged, telling us you can't make a backpack without sacrificing one of 3 things: durability, protection, weight.
Okay, so people who are born in Britain are no longer necessarily British now, in Matt's view. So that's interesting, isn't it? I mean, not least because, like, how does he square that circle? How does he reconcile that view with his September stances that it is Englishness that is the ethnicity, but anyone born in Britain would be British? This isn't hard, he whimpered. You know, now he's saying it takes more than just a piece of paper for somebody to be British. So tell us, Professor, tell us, please, could you educate me? Does this rhetorical stripping of citizenship also apply to people like Suella Braverman and Zia Yusuf and Ben Habib? Or, as Mukhtar pointed out on X in reply to Goodwin's musings, how about the children of Jews who came here in the 1940s? Will they never be real Brits to Matt Goodwin? Oh, he's dug himself into quite a hole with that one, hasn't he? But I'm sure he'll dig himself out because he's very, very clever. I mean, I'm taking the piss, but, like, genuinely, he is a fascinating character. He is. Like, one minute he'll be tweeting stuff like this, right? We are winning the argument. We are shifting the Overton window, he says. But then if you point out where that window is shifting to, Then he's like, don't call it far right.
I tried to leave off Sargon. Don't get me wrong, I have shown them on my stream for obvious reasons because obviously he still exists. I like to leave it to people like Raptor or Kev Logan or maybe, well, Helena doesn't even involve herself now anymore, and I don't blame her really. I do have some petty takes on Sargon, don't get me wrong about that one. I try to limit my exposure to that individual for obvious reasons. But if anyone wants me to cover him, I am more than game for it. I'll just keep on laughing at him, really.
Stop calling people far right. It's like, we're doing it, lads. We're achieving it. We're moving the political conversation rightward. Oh, cool, Professor. Yeah, okay.
That disagrees with me or disagrees with anyone, I'm sure I'd be able to stand my own. It depends on what tack they take, really. I have to deal with that every day, obviously. Hi. You do know I love you, don't you? Let's ignore him. This isn't an OnlyFans, obviously. TOS and everything included.
So we're past legitimate concerns, are we? Oh yeah, yeah. And we're past Britain is full and unsustainable and all of that. Oh, we're way past that. That is like the distant echoes of 2017 now. Wow. Okay, so we're pushing it further to the right. Yeah, we're pushing that window. We're pushing the boundaries, the envelope to the very far. God, you're incredible, Professor. How far to the right are you going to go before you can call it the far? Don't you dare say it. You radical.
Far.
Right.
Watch. Anyway, more on him another time. For now, it's just been another instance of him and his ilk saying something stupid and jumping to conclusions. Mass uncontrolled immigration. I mean, you really would think that the reactionary right would have learned by now, wouldn't you? I mean, we had the sword massacre, matey, that everybody said was an Islamist going on a rampage. It turned out to be some skunk-fueled psychosis episode. We had Andrew Tate and Nigel Farage boosting and amplifying the disinformation that the Southport attacker was an asylum seeker when he wasn't. We had the guy that drove into the crowd in Liverpool, who turned out to allegedly be this white guy, Paul Doyle.
It's hard to believe that a 53-year-old white man would get in a car and drive it through a crowd in Liverpool. I just find that hard to believe.
But again and again! It just keeps happening, like something terrible happens. Some sort of, superficially, like early days terror event takes place. They need it to be another instance of an asylum seeker doing something horrible, don't they? Because they're broader narratives, which are, foreigners are bad, we're in a civilizational war. When devoid of broad statistical evidence to back those, they require the cherry-picked exceptions to try to disprove the rule, the reality. Like I was saying on the weekend, the day after this horrible train incident took place, which was fucking barbaric by the sounds of things. But I was saying the next day, like on Blue Sky, I was saying, like, this isn't complicated, this stuff. Like when we say, why can't you just wait for the police to release a statement, wait for information to come out, why can't you wait for the specifics? They can't wait. They absolutely cannot wait because they know that reality and evidence and calm, measured reactions to things won't help with their broader political maneuvers that they're immersed in. But they also know, in that moment, that it takes time for the police to release the information and for them to do it in such a way that it wouldn't prejudice a trial or expose the wrong people to risk. And so they know that in that window, it's only a matter of hours, is an information vacuum where lies and conspiracy can fester and flourish. And that...
Well said, Mr. D. Completely correct. Oh, God, am I going to get this to work? Oh, dear God. I want to pin that. Give me a second, comrades.
is their time. That is their moment where they can anger wank about censorship and fight to just light the kindling. Why aren't the police releasing information? The authorities are covering it up. No, the witnesses heard them shout Allahu Akbar. They have to strike quick. Just in that window. That is their time to shill the lies and assumptions, because to wait for the facts would be to wait to be disproved and robbed of the opportunity to sell your fucking Substack again. And if concern...
You're going to hate me.
They've got 200 people. We've only got 12. We've literally got no chance. 3 companies have dominated serial out for the past 100 years. They have big budgets and even bigger distribution.
And if concerned by the suggestions, the lies, and the opportunity...
Give me a second, comrades. I won't put your card onto the account, but can you give me money to pay for my premium? I don't want to. I'm fine with that for my music and stuff when I'm listening to my music, but I don't want to expose my comrades, my followers and subscribers for me having to skip through stupid arse ads.
Oh, you should watch it better.
I do. It's still saying 11th on my bloody account on Google. I don't know what's went wrong with Google. Alphabet, you suck. Aha! Got it pinned. Thank God.
Being a friend of family, is that the one?
Yeah. Give me a minute. Give me a minute, my friends.
Opportunists, you were wondering where the leadership is in all of this. Like, how is the bullshit like this allowed to further just permeate out and infect your gran?
An absolute Muslim lover.
She breathes it all in like a fucking Guinness fart in a spacesuit. Like, maybe you're watching this stuff as it develops and you're like, you know, why is no one stepping in? Well, you'll be relieved to hear that ahead in the polls and never one to be outdone sharing unsubstantiated suspicion over the internet, Reform UK's Nigel Farage stepped in. Oh, really? Okay. To post a fake AI-generated video saying that it was footage of the man who had tried to kill him, bragging about it from his jail cell. Oh, amazing. Yeah, okay. And it was not. It's not real. It was AI-generated video designed presumably solely to evoke further tensions. So that's, yeah, good stuff. I'm excited about AI. Just think what it could do for us. Oh, and Elon Musk, literal owner of the X platform where all of this is taking place.
You either fight back or you die.
Was on Joe Rogan's podcast again, this time pretending Muslims are invading English villages and raping everybody.
These like lovely sort of small towns in England, Scotland, Ireland, they've been like sort of living their lives quietly. They're like hobbits. They're just like lovely people and everything's pleasant. Places like Hertfordshire, like the shires around in the greater London area. Until one day, you know, 1,000 people show up in your village of 500 out of nowhere. and start raping the kids. This has now happened.
That isn't happening, Elon. Stay the fuck out of our politics and our social discord, you absolute fucking spellend.
Right. Tuesday. What do I did the last time?
How do we deal with him, do we think? Rhetorically. Use our words.
Yeah. What's like boycott?
God knows how many times in Britain.
Great. Yeah. Yeah, I still think that the reason that he's so fucked up on ketamine is because the few friends that he ever had, I think they got so fed up with his shit that they just started, like, spiking his biltong with ket. And they were like, hey, Brit, can I ask you a question, my brew? Is Elon a bit annoying to you? Yeah. I was thinking, my brew, should we just sneak him in a couple of bombs? You know, let him sit in a K-hole for a little bit, give us all a break. Sure. Sure, yeah, I mean, the 2 grams were expensive, but frankly, the high that I will get from him sitting by himself alone and silent for 3 hours is more of a high than I would get from the drugs themselves. So yeah, let's do it. So... So, where are we at as we come to a close? From grassroots to influencers, from think tanks to senior political figures, to tech leaders and back, we have racism and disinformation running riot, sowing division. And what is the response when we point this stuff out? You know what divides us? Foreign men raping and murdering Brits. But of the 16,000 instances of knife crime in London in 2024, even if there were one knife rampage per week by an asylum seeker, that would account for just 0.07% of that type of offence. So given that not just the lion's share, but the colossal majority of knife crime is being committed by native Brits, you could perversely make the case that these guys are actually integrating quite well. People are being radicalised to the point that they truly believe that we are living in a far-left authoritarian dictatorship where Keir Starmer is going to enslave them with digital ID. Your great-uncle and grandma remain resolutely convinced that 2-tier police are about to rock up and jail them for their tweets. And somewhat confusingly, they're willing to say so in their tweets. How are the Labour government rising to this moment? Well, they still maintain that the biggest threat to them, and by extension UK democracy, is whether they can fill enough potholes in 3 years. Meanwhile, the strengthening tenets of fascism continue to talk up the possibility of overthrowing the government, of civil war and some sort of supranational civilizational conflict. And so the seeds of the endgame continue to be sown. The frenzy continues to grow. From flags going up all around your neighbourhood, to masked men trying to gain entry to hotels, to this guy trying to set fire to a home that housed 2 asylum seekers, their children and a baby. The Overton window is shifting. And what used to be completely unacceptable only 10 years ago is now barely acknowledged. It disappears in refreshed timelines, it doesn't trouble the papers, it receives virtually no condemnation. So who's to say what will or won't be unacceptable by the end of the decade? So yeah, sorry to leave you on a bit of a downer, but whatever is coming, however all of this ends, it's probably not going to be good. It's probably going to be even worse,
at least 8,
than Morris dancing. Peace.
Why don't you just go?
either of you ever use Bluetooth on an electric toothbrush?
No.
No. Right? A lot of people don't travel with them because they're too clunky, right? The bat.
No, no. Oh yeah, yeah, he was. Yeah, mystery. Totally.
Do you want me to type it?
Yeah. You know what? Hold it. This might be quite fun. Bit of a cleanse.
The Green Party are still
For this one.
breaking records. A new poll from Find Out Now has them second place again, but also at an all-time high. The Greens are polling at a whopping 18%, putting them 3 points clear of Labour. Reform is considerably ahead with 33%. Now remember, Find Out Now do overrepresent Reform. Here's the picture when it comes to seats. Reform with 391. It is large. The Lib Dems.
Rejoice! It's me, I guess. Rejoice, comrades, best Canadian comrades, Igloo BC. Hiya, Glue. Welcome, welcome. My God, it must be late for you. Hi. Say hi to Igloo, everyone. Thanks. Mm. Okay.
Does it like it or not?
They've changed their yeah, of course that one's uninteractive.
What's it not like?
Do you need me to re-enter it to verify the password? I'm sorry. God damn it, Google, you're a fucking pain in the arse.
They get hacked. They lost 180 million fucking passwords.
They did indeed. Make sure your devices are secure, by the way. I'm covered both by Google itself, by Alphabet, essentially, and by my own bank, and kind of by my own government, mostly, sometimes maybe, you know. But I'm covered by anything that happens through a shield that I've got on my account that I don't have to pay for because I get as being a long time customer of Royal Bank of Scotland. Because I've been with this is the only bank I've ever been with. No problem, mystery. Self care is good care. Bye. I'll catch you later. Oh, and I don't need my email. Ah, give me a minute, my friends.
Second on 73, and the Greens increasing their total from 4 MPs to 55. Now, I think the biggest shock of it all is that the Lib Dems, who are polling in 5th place, yet according to this poll, they would become the official opposition. First past the post, right? It's so broken. Now, these polls on one hand show the surge of the Greens, but on the other hand, the uniting of the right-wing vote in...
I'll pause this to make sure I am heard. Curtis is correct. First past the post is utter fucking bollocks. We need rid of it for obvious reasons.
Rich landowning white men are in charge.
They already are. Super Happy was basically saying that first past the post exists, so the rich white men are in charge. Rich white men landowners are in charge. I will say again, they already are. And we need to assist them and stop doing that. That's, I will say.
Contrast to the progressive vote still being split. Now, to caveat, Labour are not progressive, and I don't think the Lib Dems are either. But communication is key in politics. Policies, of course, matter, but the left had a lot of those already. The Green Party policies have almost been identical between Zach's current leadership and the previous co-leadership with Carla Denyer and Adrian Ramsey. Of course, policies such as abolishing landlords was passed after Zach was elected, and incredibly based, by the way. To contrast where the party is now with the 2024 election, here's how the results look for them. So as you can see, the Greens won 6.4% of the vote, and that was a record for them. It was a very good showing. They quadrupled the number of seats, and they got 6.4%. Now, that's such a distant past now. The improvement on which the party has managed to reach people and effectively communicate their ideas has been really quite astonishing. Zach's bold leadership is delivering on exactly what he promised, and people are taking notice. Part of this new leadership is to drop the nice aesthetic. Criticism of the previous leaderships has been their lack of aggression, willingness to be divisive, and even perhaps they were too earnest. Zach instead opted to deliberately goad opponents and to even mock them and their attacks. Inviting more and more attacks from the corporate media, Zach is using that as a catapult. The more they attack, the better it is for him. Yet, our political opponents and those that serve the oligarchy still don't get it. This is Daniel Finkelstein moaning about the backlash he received after attacking the group.
Oh, it's only 10. Okay. Remember, it goes self-care is good care, but 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock is basically when I usually start organising, if you wish, to get myself going, to get all my talking points in order and things of that nature, so I can go live between 11 and midnight over here on Turf Island. Or Normal Island, which is the name of the show.
Green Party with Hugo Rifkind on Times Radio.
But it did occur to me that Zach Palensky is generally not somebody who kind of loses it, and who appeared to have done so in that response. Possibly is just smarter at social media than I am, and he realised that he was getting a lot of engagement and getting a lot of, and he gets members through engagement. Again, I completely get it.
I think you're inclined to be kinder than I am. I mean, perhaps even a bit earnest. I found that that whole exchange depressing. I mean, genuinely depressing and almost upsetting, because I was disappointed in Polanski, and I had thought Polanski. I quite like Zach Polanski. I don't obviously agree with him on things, but there are some things that he stands for that I do agree with, and I thought he was a good champion for them. And that whole thing made me realise that he's not in this to reach towards the centre and engage more green.
No,
more people to vote green.
But that's what I'm saying.
But I mean, what he's doing right now, what he used that for, he used that whole exchange to show himself to be the guy who can represent the left rather than Jeremy Corbyn.
He was proving my point, which is he is engaged in a fairly smart, fairly focused, social media driven strategy to turn the Greens into the main red party, appealing to about 15% of progressive activists with great success.
And not worry about the second category.
That last one, by the way, that's Danny Finkelstein, by the way. He's basically a Tory. And Hugo Rifkind, if any British people in the chat recognise that name, that's Malcolm Rifkin's son, by the way. So, no, I do not take what he says at full face, obviously. God, I hate Malcolm Rifkind.
Now, it's interesting that Finkelstein says that he's only appealing to 50% of people, the radical leftist activists, while polling, as I've just shown you, blows that out of the water. He surged the party, currently at 18%, and it will go higher. Being respected by your opponents, being respected by those who hate your views, in my opinion, is not a good thing. They respect you if they think you are ineffective. Rifkin saying that he's disappointed in Zach is a good thing. It means Zach is making a difference. The point is that I think for far too long, the left has been or has put up with bad faith people, and it's a waste of time trying to earnestly debate some of them. Instead, he is bypassing the nonsense, and it's clearly working. Stephen, Finkelstein is claiming that Zach is trying to appeal to a small group of people rather than reach out. What do you make of his comments?
I felt like those two were harking back to a time which is long gone, or at least very quickly on its way out. Because what was said there was that he's not appealing to the centre, and that's where the majority of people are. Actually, the centre is rapidly vacating itself. People are leaving the centre, and they're going to the right or they're going to the left. They're looking for a political home.
Sorry, Stephen Medden. He's the main researcher and producer for Novara Live, by the way, for Novara. He's fairly knowledgeable. He's a historian. He documents a leftist perspective on history. I love Stephen so much. He's amazing. The hat will be arriving tomorrow. Tomorrow. You might see me wearing it on chat tomorrow night on stream. Yes, they will. You have to go to bed at some point, don't you? I will show you the hat, don't worry. I might try it on to see what everyone thinks.
Too small for you.
He's just jealous because I've got a degree.
Which they think is going to make a difference to their material circumstances when the two major parties have made zero difference to their material circumstances, unless, of course, you're talking about making it worse, in which case they've succeeded amazingly in making people's material circumstances worse. So you have this old idea that, oh yeah, it's the sensibles in the middle, those are the ones that we have to appeal to, the ones who are, worried about sort of minor marginal differences in tax, or who are worried about, perhaps, plenty of people will be worried about things like interest rates, but they'll be looking at things around them and seeing, the state is sort of slowly but surely failing to function, not just for people who rely on it, but for people in that centre who often don't rely on it so much, but can rather see the effects of that crumbling state all around them. So, yeah, when they talk about not appealing to like a minority of people who aren't in the centre or who are on the fringes, those fringes, as they call them, are growing and growing because people are recognising that the policies and the platforms of the two major parties, which are both tanking, absolutely tanking at an alarming rate for them, not for me, that those policies and platforms just don't serve them, and they need to look elsewhere for, honestly, more radical politics. And those radical politics lies, unfortunately, on the right as well as on the left. And the question here is a question of what radicalism is going to win out. One thing that Rifkind, I think, talked about there was about respect, and there's this sense that Zach doesn't go for the respect of this kind of elite media class. You're not appealing, you're not treating them with respect. That's not who you have to respect as a politician. Who you have to respect are the people who are going to vote for you. Who you have to respect, what you have to respect about those people are their needs and their requirements and their complaints.
I'll just pause a second. I'll try to keep my own volume as low as I can, so Super Happy can watch the morning news, and everyone's still hearing me. I do express a lot with my facial expressions, obviously. Bye. I'll catch you later.
About the state of Britain at the moment. And I think Zach is doing that very well, and I think he's communicating that very well. And that is what they don't like. They don't like that actually Rifkin and Finkelstein, they don't like that they are drifting away from the center of relevance in politics, just like politics is drifting away from the center amongst political parties.
I think someone needs to give Times Radio they didn't get the message that the centre ground is collapsing, because even like the rest of the mainstream media aren't really focusing on the centre ground. I'm sure Zach is quaking in his boots that he's upset Hugo Rifkin. Let's go back to the polling though. Right, it's good stuff from the Greens, but what are your thoughts on the wider picture? And that's Reform, who are just blowing everyone else out of the water.
I think that things are going to change for Reform, and I think part of that is bound up with economic arguments that Nigel Farage made at the beginning of this week, or not so much economic arguments, but rather a kind of economic positioning, where he talked about himself, sort of presented Reform as a responsible party of economic policy, where he said, we can't promise tax cuts, we have to be the grown-ups, so on and so forth. All of that language, grown-ups, no tax cuts, etc., fiscal responsibility, all of that is going to be so triggering for so much of his support. And an argument that I've made for a long time now in writing and on the show is that Farage has a real problem because, he's really a one-trick pony, and that trick is immigration. And he started off by cultivating a fairly extreme wing of
Hang on, I'll bring Super Happy into this question because I'd really love to know. Darren, in all good faith, please, for this one. Is Manfrog a one-trick pony?
Oh, he's an investment banker.
He was a commodities trader, by the way. But yeah, he was still in that same sphere, really.
Oh, nice.
Is he grifting? Is he trying to hoodwink the British people, do you think? Not that any party ever does that, ever.
Anti-migration sentiment. But as he started to develop political ambitions towards running the country, well, he had to soften some of those views in order to make it more appealing to a wider part of the country. Now that he's getting closer to power, he's having to soften the economic views as well, because he knows he won't be able to actually carry out any of those promises, and he knows that as soon as
Funny, and also, thankfully, if they do manage to get the keys to the government, like if he gets the key, the metaphorical keys to number 10, they don't have any lords in the other place. Don't get me wrong, there's Reform friendly peers who might actually help, but there's not enough of them. Last time I counted, I went and checked about 2 or 3 months ago. There's like 3 of them, I think, who'd be reform friendly. Oh, no surprise. They're one of them's a crossbencher, and the other two are Tory lords that have been in there for fucking forever. So they've got 3 of them. How many lords is there?
Too many.
Ain't that the problem?
Literally, it's not a basic problem. There's too many.
It's gonna be my comrade. How many lords is there? How many peers is there in the, obviously the other place, deeply undemocratic. I want rid of it for lots of reasons. And the vast majority of them, I'm thinking I might, maybe not that correct now, but mostly correct. Most of them are Tory lords because the Tory prime ministers, whenever they're going to be leaving office for reasons, it used to be the Liberal Democrats. Yes, it did. It's the Tories now. It was the Liberal Democrats. Igloo is Twitch. He's a based Canadian comrade. Go and check him out. I shouted him up. All lower is up there. You can see it. Check Igloo out. Igloo's cool. Praise be. Igloo BC. He's awesome. He's like me. He talks about politics and social issues and laughs at chuds like I do because these people are fucking lunatics, obviously. Some of them are lunatics and some of them are just grifters. We have to deal with. Just tell them to piss off and don't vote them into positions of power, really.
He starts to build power with the kinds of economic policies that he had in the last manifesto, the markets will start to wobble. The markets will start to wobble in a way that will be really threatening to him. And so he'll water them down, and he's now preparing the ground to do that. So it's all going to be about watering down, because there's nothing economically radical about Farage. Farage is just an old-fashioned Tory, an old-fashioned neoliberal, and
I hate using his full name, but I have to do this. Nigel Farage is a Thatcherite, by the way. That's when he joined the Tory party. It was back in the early 80s, by the way. He is a Thatcherite, so you cannot trust the bastard. And he's appealing to the right wing and the far right. So I'm here to denounce him and counter every fucking argument that fucking Wittgenstein, the beer spilling charlatan does. I will.
I read an opinion piece yesterday. Gen Z that support.
Huh. That's a bit odd. See, a new one would be my first response to that one. I can give you suggestions for new account names if you like. Obviously, the security aspect entirely up to yourself. Obviously, you have to keep yourself safe and secure and everything. Obviously, like I do for myself. Most of my passwords, I create some of them because some things resonate with me, and I create them into passwords. Some of them are funny. Super Happy is different. She creates random, completely fucking random, which is the most secure way you can actually do it. He just plucks these things out of his grey matter. He's rather good at it for reasons.
In a self-enriching capitalist. So the radicalism is a kind of racist radicalism of reform, but that's not going to go. That's not going to take him into power. And as he dissolves any sense of economic radicalism, as the economic reality of Nigel Farage and reform becomes more and more visible, his popularity is going to drift as well. I'm not saying that that means that the Greens will go up, obviously. I think that means that the Tories will probably go back up. But that's the way that I see things at the moment. So I think, we're a long way out from an election. Farage has got a lot of positioning to do to carry him into Downing Street. Everyone's saying they're going to vote for him now, but it's not just he's of the ilk. That means that it's not just about the electorate; it's also about the markets, and the markets are going to get unstable as he gets closer and closer to power, I think.
Yeah, an election is a long time away. I've also noticed that in lots of polling, they have kind of stagnated, apart from Find Out Now. Again, Find Out Now do slightly overblow them, but other polls, they are stagnating. And I do think Farage's intervention last week about basically saying austerity, saying the economic policies we champion are going to be the 14 years of austerity from under the Tories. That's basically what he said. Even their flagship policy of cutting taxes, they said they'd have to drop that. So hopefully that's put a big dent in them. But again, I agree, we've got a long time to wait. But I mean, the Greens on 18%, that's not something to not celebrate.
Can I say something about the flatlining?
Please do, yeah.
I mean, I think if a party is doing as well as Reform is doing and it starts flatlining, that could just indicate that they have actually just exhausted the natural support they have in the country, that they're not going to be able to get any of the other people from any of their parties to go for them, and they've kind of got everything. I don't think that's what's happening here. I think what's happening here is that they've kind of exhausted the natural support which is based on dissatisfaction with the two major parties. There'll be lots to gain from people who, for example, don't ordinarily vote, or for people who vote for the other parties. And the question is, how are they going to galvanize those people? And I think that for people who don't ordinarily vote, there isn't really anything exciting for them that has, there's nothing exciting for them that Reform's going to be able to offer that they haven't already offered, and otherwise, would have got them already. So it's really, I think it is a stagnation, but I think it's a stagnation that comes before a sort of drop as people start drifting maybe back to more secure ground.
The hat's leather.
The hat is leather, and it is waterproof. Someone might be nicking it. Political custard next.
So everything you need is on here.
Yep.
Orders appear here,
Yep.
and
Oh, no.
with a click and collect, we can get things ready in as little.
Give me a minute. I did pay. I want to deal with that, please. Am I back? Am I back? Give me a second, my friends. Oh no, it's asking me to say back in. Next. Give me a minute, comrades. Nope. Wrong.
What?
I have to re-establish on my bloody account on my laptop.
What?
Just type it in. It's it's hidden, don't worry.
Capital. Capital.
Ah! Wrong? I return. Hi. Please, 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 please.
Good quality, heavy duty leather should last a lifetime, so unless I could go an extra head, I'll never need to buy another.
Sod it, Paulina.
Bad news. Your business is only using 20% of its data. The other 80%, it's all around you, and everyone's searching for it. Untapped opportunity everywhere. Sure, you can look for it all over the place.
Right, let's get your thoughts on Zoran Mamdani's win in New York? Or what are the lessons?
Well, I feel like I'm grinning from ear to ear because, first of all, I think it just feels like a delightful moment where hope has triumphed. And although that's about New York, I think it's also about improving people's lives, both in America, but that's what we need to do right across England and Wales. And I think what Zoran really did was connect with the lives of ordinary people, mobilize young people, and it wasn't just about social media. I think that sometimes it becomes about the communication style. He's undoubtedly an incredible communicator, but actually I think it was about the policies. It was a relentless focus on inequality, and that's exactly what we're going to do here.
This is the thing that's interesting.
And that's so important. It's so important to make this point over and over and over again. So many people will try and paint Zoran Mamdani as energizing young people, as about being slick on social media, as making good TikToks and Instagram reels, when
I will be back, comrades. I'll be listening. You'll probably hear me pottering about in the kitchen while I make myself a coffee. I will be back. If I hear anything, I will talk. Might be quite difficult. If you can hear me.
You want a coffee?
Yes. Super happy. It's super happy for a reason. I'll play on, but I need to go do something else that super happy can help me with.
the actual reality of the victory was inspiring hundreds of thousands of campaigners and door knockers, and about offering policies that solve the material problems. Because he didn't just win over a brand new coalition of younger, highly energized voters, even though he did. He did do that. He also won over South Asian voters. He also won over people from minority communities who don't vote. He won over so many people who voted for Trump in the last election. He won amongst black people and the general, even though he lost with black people in the primary in Queens or in the Bronx. And he brought together this huge coalition of people on the central policies that he put forward, solving the cost of living crisis. And that's what we are doing as well. So to try and dismiss Mamdani as an artifact of social media and being charismatic, rather than the fact that the people do want democratic socialism, or at the very least social democracy, is something that will continually have to be pushed back on, because it will be a line the political class want to go with to undermine the idea of socialist politicians being popular.
Interesting, isn't it? So he's a left-wing socialist. He's been unafraid in taking on the right. He's been very critical of Donald Trump. He wants to tax millionaires. Are you the British the British Mamdani?
Well, he's much cooler than I am, and I think it's important to know where your coolness lies. But actually, what I do entirely intend to do is the same relentless focus on inequality.
You're modelling yourself a bit on what he's done. Is that fair to say?
Well, it's interesting. We were roughly doing it at the same time, actually. So I think this isn't about one person's learning from another, but I think the left more generally around the world are going absolute solidarity with minority communities, with trans people, with migrants. But actually, the problems that are facing them more than anything is inequality. And inequality faces all of us, other than multimillionaires and billionaires. So let's talk about what we have in common and make sure we take the fight to the right.
I think it's really important. What I will say is one thing that Mamdani does that I think Zach Polanski can learn from here is that I think Zach Polanski will bring up trans people and migrants out of the blue a little bit too often. I understand that he wants to show the solidarity, wants to show that he is not like the other parties that are demonizing and scapegoating these minority communities. I understand why he's doing this. But one of the reasons why both Mamdani and Bernie Sanders are really, really, really popular and really good at solving those issues is that they will answer honestly and sincerely about their support for minority communities whenever they are asked about it. But when they're asked about it, they'll go, that's a separate issue from my main issue, which is about economic issues, which is about class. So they don't ever throw anyone under the bus. But what they do specifically do is only bring it up if it's relevant. Because I think even people who don't necessarily disagree with us on a bunch of social issues, right, or don't care even about those social issues, don't like to think of the left as being people who only care about social issues, right? Despite the fact that we have always had huge amounts of support for economic positions, and also we've tried to communicate our economic positions. So people tried to claim that the Jeremy Corbyn campaign was all about identity politics, when no, central to the whole thing was economics. That's why he was so popular. But the people who are really obsessed with identity politics, the ones who
Housing, health, infrastructure in the country, better transportation, greener energy. Hello, anyone? Can you hear me? Just me alone. Just take me as the one sole person standing out there shouting on the mountaintop to talk about these issues, or standing in the middle of Sucky Hall Street, which is a major high street in Glasgow, by the way, saying, this is what we need to be talking about, this is what needs to be changed. Obviously, I'm not out there standing in Sucky Hall Street saying to people, we need to campaign for these issues, both economic and social. I'm here doing that on my own little part of the high street, I guess. So, social media, high street, really? I am trying to educate people here, obviously. The more people we can reach out to actually explain how we can actually change this, create a political movement.
Don't want to talk about our economic policies and try and divert from it, but regardless, people will hear us bring up minority communities, situations that aren't relevant, that makes it look like we care about it more than the economic arguments, even though I don't think that's necessarily true. So I think the way in which Zach has been really, really strong about protecting trans people is that he talked about inequality with Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan then tried to change it to his opinions on trans people. He gave a strong affirmative answer about his positions on trans people and then said, but that's not my issue. People can't afford to feed their kids. People can't afford to pay their rent. I'm here to talk about the issues that matter to me, which is inequality, which is the cost of living crisis, which is solving lives for working class people across this country. While you're trying to talk about women having penises and trans people is a distraction from the real issue. That's the way in which I think you're supposed to tackle these issues, rather than say.
Super Hobby doesn't do things by half by anyone, if you get my drift. This is completely filled, by the way. You get who she is?
Unreported World. It's a BBC correspondent in Washington.
Something about trans people or migrants without it being specifically invoked by your interviewer. I think that's important. Yeah, because Piers really understands the cost of living crisis. Well, it's exactly what I was talking about with Nicky Morgan before. It's exactly the same thing I was talking about when I was saying the reason why she comes up with loads of harebrained reasons as to why left-wingers might win, for example, is because she doesn't understand the cost of living crisis. And there's a reason why Piers Morgan wants to talk about trans people, is because he doesn't have any fucking real problems. None of our media class have any real problems. Lots of them are, making money hand over fist, stealing a living, tippy-tapping on their MacBook for 2 hours a week, posting 2 articles for the Times on why trans people are subhuman, and that's their paycheck sorted. That's their paycheck sorted. That's literally it. And that's why they don't want to talk about cost of living, is because they have pet issues because cost of living isn't their issue. And that's the problem. That's the big problem. And it makes the interviewers look bad. It makes them look out of touch. If you respond to a question about trans people and say, what the fuck are you talking about trans people for? I'm going to talk about cost of living and the real issues that face ordinary people, and you're talking about 1% of the population, you fucking insane. It makes the interviewers look out of touch and the politicians look in touch. And that's really important. You've got to remember, the issues around trans people are only relevant to like 1% of the population who actually care about these issues. So, whilst making your position clear and stating your support for the trans community is really important to show, making sure that you only invoke it when and as necessary rather than bringing it up when you don't necessarily need to, I think is a stronger tactic rhetorically.
Perhaps we're sceptical about him, but he's won in New York and he's won big. Do you think that you could be the next Prime Minister?
I think it's not for me right now about a focus on being Prime Minister, and that's not avoiding the question, because I want to answer the question really directly. My focus right now, though, is making sure we get 30, 40, maybe even more MPs at the next general election. Now, that was what I was saying a few weeks ago. Since I've said that, I've been elected about 2 months today. We've over doubled the Green Party membership. We've had a poll where we've overtaken the Labour government. So to answer your question directly, things are changing rapidly for me in the Green Party, and now 30 to 40 MPs is starting to look unambitious. I can't give you an exact number yet because we've got to go away, work the numbers and go, actually, if we keep growing at this pretty much exponential rate, what are our ambitions at the next general election. But right now, that isn't being Prime Minister. It's just making sure we get as big a block of Green MPs as possible.
You say that 30 to 40 MPs looks unambitious for you, and I know you don't want to put a number on it, but can you give me a bit of a sense of what is the sort of target? What are you looking for? Are you like looking to enter a coalition or to be part of a government or to, you know, get over 50 MPs? What is it?
So we definitely want to hold the balance to power, because actually, ultimately, what I want for this country is to make sure that we are taxing wealth more than we're taxing work. I want to make sure we have action on the climate crisis, and I want to bring in proportional representation.
What does hold the balance of power mean? Does that mean you would go into, say, a coalition with Labour or a supply and demand? What do you want to do?
Well, again, most politicians would say, I'm not going to answer that question right now, but you asked me a direct question, so I'll give you a direct answer. I wouldn't go into coalition with Keir Starmer. This is a man who has perpetrated an ongoing genocide in Gaza. He ran on the coattails of Jeremy Corbyn, and I would say he ditched every single pledge he could. So I think the man's proven to be untrustworthy. However, I don't think he'll be Prime Minister at the next election. So it's very difficult for me to predict what a relationship between the Green Party and the Labour Party look like until I know who the future leader will be.
So what about Nigel Farage then? Are you saying that you might do a deal with him?
No, there's no way I'd do a deal with Nigel Farage.
So if you're looking at Labour, would a condition be, so I know I'm jumping ahead on all those things, but like, you know, you things have changed. Like you said, your ambitions have changed. Are you thinking that, you know, one of your conditions would be a different leader of the Labour Party, for example, that you felt you could work with?
I'm not sure it'd be for the Green Party leader to demand who Labour led with, but I think Labour membership and people who are thinking about voting Labour in the past are increasingly voting with their feet and moving over to the Green Party anyway, as well as lots of ex-Tories who are joining the Green Party. It's interesting, often.
I think as well, one
I'll be back. I'm going to end the stream, but I'm going to be